Jam. Toon Jam.
Hello and welcome to Toon Jam. I am Matt.
And I'm Jamie.
And today we are talking all about Clone High. I think we mentioned this in one of the previous episodes and how we needed to visit it. Well, now we have visited it. So let's get a bit of info about Clone High. Occasionally referred to in the US as Clone High USA. I'm not sure why, but that's that. It is a Canadian-American animated series created by Phil Lord, Christopher Miller, and Bill Lawrence. So Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, you'll know from 21 Jump Street, the Lego Movie, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Is that another one?
Yeah, I think so. They did that? I don't know.
Spider-Verse. They did Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
They've done all sorts. 21 Jump Street. I said that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's what I was thinking when I said it just. No. There you go. Plenty of stuff out there. The show centres... Oh, and Bill Lawrence of Scrubs.
Yeah.
So that's a big one. The show centres on a high school populated by the clones of famous historical figures. The central cast includes adolescent depictions of Abe Lincoln, Joan of Arc, Gandhi, Cleopatra, and JFK. The series also serves as a parody of teen dramas such as Dawson's Creek and Beverly Hills 90210. Every episode is introduced as a very special episode. Lord and Miller first developed the series concept while at Dartmouth College in the 90s, later pitching it to executives at American network Fox Broadcast Company, who ultimately decided to pass on the programme. It was later purchased by cable channel MTV and was produced between 2002 and 2003. The show's design was heavily stylised and its animation style limited, emphasising humour and story over visuals. I should also say it was the animation style was done by the same guy that did like a lot of Cartoon Network sort of shows. I'm just trying to think, like Dexter's Lab, I believe. Let me just get the list. Dexter's Lab, Powerpuff Girls, Ren and Stimpy. He didn't do Powerpuff Girls, sorry. Samurai Jack and Timon and Pumbaa. He did do Powerpuff Girls. Sorry again. Whew. We've got a lot to get through today, guys. So I hope you've got your hot drinks at the ready. We're still going. Where was it? The theme song was written by Tommy Walter and performed by his alternative rock band, Abandoned Pools, who also provided much of the series' background music. Clone High first aired in its entirety on Canadian cable network Teletoon between 2002 and 2003, later debuting on MTV. It became embroiled in a controversy regarding its depiction of Gandhi soon afterwards, which prompted over 100 people in India to mount a hunger strike in response.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is some pretty crazy story. I'll go into it further momentarily. Shortly after, MTV pulled the series, which had been receiving low ratings anyway. Clone High attracted mixed reviews from television critics upon its premiere, but has since gone on to receive critical acclaim and a cult following. In July 2020, it was announced that a reboot of the series is in the works at MTV Studios, and the original creators Lord, Miller and Lawrence returning. In February 2021, it was announced that HBO Max has ordered 2 seasons of the reboot, and as of 2020, the series is available to be legally streamed on Paramount+. So some pretty, a mixture of crazy news and, exciting news, I guess, for some people.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a bit about the controversy behind it. In an article in Maxim magazine depicting Mahatma Gandhi being beaten up by a muscular man, basically this article sparked outrage in India And unfortunately, Clone High was caught in the crossfire when citizens in the country conducted internet searches on the Maxim article, but also found out about the show's Gandhi character on the MTV website. This sparked an outrage in India over the show's depiction of Gandhi. And on January 30th, 2003, which was the 55th anniversary of his assassination, approximately 150 protesters, including members of Parliament, gathered in the network's India branch and was trapped in the building. According to Miller in 2014, he recalled that protesters basically threatened that they'd revoke MTV's broadcasting license in India if they didn't take the show off the air. MTV offered a quick apology, stating that Clone High was created and intended for an American audience, and we didn't recognize and respect that various cultures may view this program differently, and we regret any offence taken by the content in the show. Miller would later recall that executives at MTV enjoyed the show and asked for the duo to pitch a second season without Gandhi. Lord and Miller's two potential versions of a second season included one that made no reference to Gandhi's absence, and another that revealed that the character was in fact a clone actor, Gary Coleman. A clone of the actor Gary Coleman all along. And the show continued as normal. He stated, "We pitched that and it went up to the top at Viacom again and it got a big no." He remembered. So that's how it got cancelled. As far as the reboot's concerned, Lord and Miller have since stated that they have considered a film adaptation of the series. In 2014, they explained that they, at the time, were under contract with Fox. Lawrence had a television deal at Warner Brothers Studios, and the rights to Clone High were owned by Nelvana Chorus Entertainment, Touchstone and the Walt Disney Company, and MTV, Viacom, CBS, and it would be difficult to resurrect the show. References to Clone High are present in their later productions. The duo admitted many of the jokes in 22 Jump Street were ripped off straight from Clone High. And Forte also voices a Lego version of Lincoln in the Lego Movie. In a 2014 Grantland article, the two joked that our entire career has been about getting Clone High back on the air. In 2018, in the 2018 film Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, produced by Lord and Miller, a billboard appears promoting a movie titled Clone College, starring Abe and JFK. And then essentially, in 2010, it was announced that the reboot of the series was in the work. So there you go. Pretty crazy. It was also revealed that the original series writer Erica Ravinoja, I don't know how to say it, I'm super sorry, will serve as showrunner of the series, while also writing the pilot with Lord and Miller. On February 10th, 2021, the reboot has picked up season 2 order at HBO Max. Whew. So there you go. Plenty of information out there on Clone High. Quite a big, it clearly has a big following.
Yeah.
Had you ever seen it before?
No,
I've never seen it before. I've only seen it on these lists that we've been looking at of sort of underrated shows, and obviously when we've done a lot of sort of MTV coverage over the past year.
Yeah.
So it has popped up. So it's interesting to go and visit it. But this one does seem to have quite a following, and obviously, with it being made by, Christopher Miller, Phil Lord, and Bill Lawrence, people that are all pretty successful. I suppose it does have a better chance, and obviously is coming back. So that's interesting. What's Twitter got to say about Clone High?
Well, Twitter seems to have quite a fund. I mean, there's been several sort of like different waves of Clone High go through Twitter. Like, I don't know if it happened everywhere else, but at one point, like JFK was just like a constant presence on Twitter for like a good couple of months. Don't know why. Just kept popped up out of nowhere, and then he was just in the reply to like every chat, and then he was just a constant, just weird meme going around of JFK for like no reason. So, but we're out of that stage now, so that's nice.
Right. Okay.
But it seems that people like Clone High to the point that it almost becomes not good for them, it seems. So we've got Pigs on the Wing says, God, I want to rewatch Clone High so bad. Which, I mean, I don't know if that's like they're not allowed to watch it. They can't watch it for some other legal reasons, but they really want to. But they can't.
When was the tweet made? Do you know?
I didn't see the
The only reason I asked that is because it was available to be legally streamed on Paramount Plus in 2020.
Yeah.
So maybe it was a case that they or maybe they haven't got Paramount Plus.
Yeah, maybe they haven't. I think it was fairly recent. So yeah. So yeah. Either way, they really want to watch it, and
Paramount
it's unavailable.
Check it out.
Similarly, Socks for Frogs says, might just rewatch Clone High just to feel something. And then I'm pretty sure they posted a picture of like a man sitting in the waves of the sea, just ready to get swept away, drinking a beer. So obviously some sort of depressive state, not necessarily sound of mind.
But then also, still throwing out some props to Clone High.
Yeah, that's it. Like Clone High was the last time they remembered feeling something. Maybe that was their last emotion. Seeing Gandhi just getting mad on non-alcoholic beer was the last time they were like, yeah, this is life.
This is
So
emotions now.
Another possible condition there. Yeah. That we've got Mirrored Mirrors says, I wait patiently for Clone High Season 2 to come out every single day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, luckily for them, that day is coming soon.
That patience has paid off.
Yeah. But, I mean, until last year, there was no hope for them.
No.
They've waited every single day.
But that's the thing, that's something like, we've all had a show, that we just wish so bad. I'm sure we've brought it up before. We just really wish it never got cancelled and it could come back. Imagine if, you're one of those shows. They announced it was coming back. Same sort of people, same stuff going on.
Yeah, you'd be over the moon.
Yeah. So fair play.
What a feeling.
Yeah.
And we've got Swiss Ghoul who says, sometimes my voice will drop into Clone High JFK impression for no reason.
Yeah. Which
I think means that they may have watched it too many times.
Or maybe just enough.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're all kind of, depending on how you take all those tweets, could be really good, really big fans of Clone High, or, could be excessive viewers. And maybe need to go to like Clone High rehab or something.
Maybe
then, so.
I do think that everyone has that one show, that one film, just that something that they just
need one more.
They can just keep revisiting.
Yeah.
No matter. Obviously, David the Gnome.
Yeah, that's yours.
For most people, it's probably David the Gnome.
And we've also got, which isn't actually a review, but maybe just sidebar. Sable Disabled says Clone High, but for serial killers. Which I was like, okay, yeah, I'm into that.
Oh, as in that's an idea for.
Yeah, that's just like that's like a proposal maybe to. That's their like one tweet pitch to a studio somewhere. Clone High, but for serial killers. What say you?
Yeah, no, that sounds horrific.
Yeah, I'm with the concept there. I can see. Yeah, okay. That would make an interesting show, I believe.
Yeah, but it's just like who would want that? Mm-hmm. Not the show, but the reality of it.
Yeah, maybe they clone them to try and get inside the mind of a serial killer. Like maybe there's a new Zodiac or something on the loose, and the only way they can understand his methods is to clone all the previous serial killers.
Well, they have to grow them to
the
full age before they can actually get in there.
Yeah, they've got to keep them in an institute in a permanent college state so that they're like malleable enough to try and get some information out of them. But
To me, this
not.
sounds like, one of those things where it's like a worse idea than Jurassic Park in reality.
But I mean, look, how many Jurassic Parks have there been?
I know, and it goes wrong every time.
Every time, yeah. But people still go there. You just imagine the mindset of the person who goes to Jurassic Park after one shutdown.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know what kind of things are being buried in the media in that reality.
True.
Like the first one, I don't think it was officially opened.
Mm.
So
What were we on now? 5, 6?
something like that. But there's only been a couple of them where they were actually like parks. Do you know what I mean? Like other people were going to visit, which is strange, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
But that's a discussion for another time.
Yeah, when we cover Jurassic Park,
there is an animated series now of Jurassic Park, isn't there?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, something like Camp Cretaceous or something like that.
Ah, there you go. Then
that's it.
We'll continue that
Save
conversation.
that for put a pin in that, guys. Okay, what is that everything from the
that's
Twitter?
all the tweets and suggestions.
Right then.
And pictures.
Very interesting though, all of them. So great stuff there. Okay, so let's talk about Clone High. A cool classic.
Yeah.
Clearly has a large following, plenty of information on the internet. Sometimes you look stuff up and there's like a sentence. This clearly has a big following, a lot of people add into it. Again, you've got big people involved in it. The cast is pretty much the cast of Scrubs with a few extra people, as far as I can tell. Like every extra character is someone from Scrubs. I don't know if you've had a look at the.
I did see sort of like Neil Flynn as a bonus on there, and
yeah. So as far as I'm aware, it's like it is Lord and Miller and Will Forte as voices.
Yeah.
There's a few others, obviously, but a lot of the other cast members are from either Scrubs or Spin City and stuff like that. And how did you think the voice acting was good? Did you think that was a?
I thought it was all right. Yeah, like some of the like I appreciated the Andy Dick characters because
yes, of course, Andy Dick's in it, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you see enough of Andy Dick.
No, like especially nowadays. So like when I heard that, I was like, oh man, I miss this voice.
Yeah, because I do think like often this is a good example. Now, there's nothing like. I'm not saying that the voice acting is bad in this at all. Like there's some really good voices in it, but it is a good example of when you see people that like you can tell who in it is a voice actor, or who in it is good for voice acting and who isn't, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And there's certain times where you're like, that wasn't so great. Like Will Forte's good. Basically, the main cast are pretty good. There's no problems there. You can tell when it's Lord and Miller a bit, but you can tell when it's like this. A lot of the Scrubs cast in their spare parts, you can tell it's like them. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't, like they're putting on a silly voice, but it doesn't really work. I don't think it's a problem so much as like it's just something I noticed. But it's not enough. It's not the main characters, so that's fine.
No. Didn't I see that? Was it like Michael J. Fox or something played like a kidney or something weird?
Was he the kidney?
He was the kidney.
He was in it, yeah.
So weird.
But he was in Spin City, wasn't he?
Ah.
So that's again, it's just like Bill Lawrence has just got all his mates from everything in on it.
This is it. When you get to the big leagues, you can just call on all your famous friends to just jump aboard.
Yeah, and no worries. Visual style, you can absolutely tell it's got that like Cartoon Network look.
Yeah, yeah,
It does look like it looks like Powerpuff Girls, I think. So,
yeah. Like there's some real good, real good elaborate shapes to the
yeah,
to the characters and stuff. Like Joan of Arc's got like a flat head, which is a
yeah,
classic look for like those era cartoons. Like people are like excessively tall, and they've just got like their outlines are so like notable. There's just like some cool shapes and
yeah,
dynamics. Um, and yeah, some good hair going on. It's all pretty. Yeah, they do look like that era. Just to
yeah,
glance at it is like, oh yeah, I can sort of feel where this comes from. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, and they do they did a good job of making sort of the characters look like who they're supposed to,
yeah,
whilst also completely fitting in with our times and like matching to like not I say our times, the naughties
yeah,
sort of thing, and they completely match to those sort of that style.
yeah. It's cool, really cool designs. Like,
Yeah,
but it worked. This was it.
and the concept itself is a good idea.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Like,
pretty fun.
yeah, I really liked that. Like, it's so simple, yet yeah, it just really worked. I thought it's just one of those things. It's a good idea.
Mm,
You're kind
yeah,
of like, oh, how has no one thought of this before?
yeah. It's pretty stupid and pretty fun. And
Yeah,
it works really well. And they managed to like add in some pretty cool like side characters and stuff as well, like the crazy doctor and the weird spooky general and stuff. It's still
yeah,
equally as fun. Um,
yeah.
and all the robots as well made me laugh as well.
Oh man, that the robot, the guy, it's like his deputy head or something, in it.
Yeah,
He is. His voice is just hilarious, just like auto tune.
yeah,
Just says everything in like a ridiculous way, but always is serious as well.
yeah,
Yeah, that just really works. I tell you what I did like about it. And I didn't. It's a weird one because I didn't necessarily like the soundtrack.
mm.
Like I didn't like. I wouldn't listen to the soundtrack.
I was gonna say it doesn't really seem like
No,
your cup of tea.
but it really fit. If you get me,
Yeah, yeah,
and I think it's one of the cool things about sort of the MTV animated shows is obviously all the music they use
mm.
always really fit the time.
Yeah,
And I mean, it should do, because if they're not going to fit the time, then what's the point in MTV
yeah,
sort of thing. But yeah, it really because of that, it takes you back to that era.
oh man, yeah, it's instant nostalgia when
Yeah,
when the music comes on.
and it's funny because until I say the past sort of the like we visited a lot of earlier MTV cartoons. Recently we've done sort of it's kind of a troubled era, the noughties, for MTV. I guess this was during the change that we talked about before,
Yeah,
where things sort of MTV was turning into what it made fun of.
yeah,
So it's like the awkward middle phase where they're still doing a bit of the old and they're doing a bit of the new. And unfortunately, a lot of the animated stuff kind of took a hit. I guess because of the new audience as well. But a lot of the stuff we've watched recently from this era it's really hit me nostalgically in a way that I'd sort of, it's kind of like I'd forgotten about it almost.
yeah, yeah,
And then you remember, like, I guess this is how they come back in, because you start to see stuff, when it becomes a bit more historic.
yeah,
In it, that might sound like a weird way of putting it, but it becomes more like people get what an era was.
yeah,
Because I always feel like now, you never really know. You kind of like, what would this be remembered for now? Because you don't remember, like, what am I going to remember about today, sort of thing. And then I'd say it takes like 20 odd years, like 15, 20 years to look back at a time. But I guess when it starts to look a bit old fashioned.
yeah. I saw something the other day that was saying about how because of the way that sort of tech has kind of taken over everything in the last sort of couple decades. Really, it's kind of made the like 2 decades together sort of like, you know, seem like indiscernible almost. So like it has taken, it sort of seems to have taken longer for this stuff like this that is, you know, is over 20 years old, like, you know, the early naughty stuff seem like it's old enough to be like, oh, remember that, because you know, it's sort of, once we go into like, you know, smartphone era and tech era, it's all just like one big blur. So
but I do think that a lot of that, this is just personal, like what I think of it, so take it how you will, but I do think a lot of that is just because we're still in that time. And I just think we're too close to the page on it.
Well, that's it.
It's always like there's no sort of scientific backing behind what I'm going to say, but I have a theory that we are sort of obsessed with 30 years ago. Like always obsessed with 30 years ago, because if you look at sort of like the last decade, everything was like 80s, and I don't even remember before that everything was like 70s. And then if you start to look at stuff like even the 90s were like the 60s, and you might be like, I don't know what you mean, but then you look at like Oasis and stuff and Britpop, but there's a lot of like Beatles influence there and stuff like that. And there's always something. So and we're kind of going into the 90s now. Like all you have to do is look at like color schemes on movie posters to start to be like, oh yeah, that reminds me of the 90s actually. Because I think when people hit their 30s and their 40s and stuff, that's when you start getting the proper nostalgia. Because it's further away, I guess. And you start remembering it as a better time because, you know, you're old now. And, you know, people our age, like having kids and families and stuff. So there's a new generation.
Yeah, that does seem to be the way it works. It's quite cyclical in that way, isn't it? And mainly also the fact that, you know, those people, the people that are creating the content are the ones that are like 30, 40 years old at that point as well. So it's all just like their interests and all that kind of comes back round, and you know, all the references to all the stuff they enjoyed when they were younger, which was, you know, the 30 years ago stuff. So it does seem. Yeah,
if my theory is correct, the next, you know, 9 years or so will be filled with like 90s callbacks. And then, you know, the 30s will be filled with stuff like this, like Clone High sort of era. So, but it's cool to get the jump on it. I'll enjoy it now before it's cool.
That's it. Yeah,
that's how to be a hipster, guys. I'm just giving you the key to being a
only
hipster.
go 20 years back, and you're
always ahead of the curve. But yeah, so that's the start. But yeah, I think the music, going back to it, really puts a date on it.
Oh yeah,
in a cool way as well.
I feel like I've not even heard songs that sound like that since.
I think that's the funny thing, isn't it? It doesn't like something like, when does something become a classic?
Yeah.
And you just don't hear it for ages.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I completely forgot this style of music existed.
Yeah. And even like their clothes.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh yeah, I remember I used to wear stupid clothes like that. But it's cool. It is. I can see how, you know, it's become a cult classic. I feel like it appeals to certain people.
Yeah, and I think it's funny as well. It made me laugh. So I mean, I guess the weird part is that like there's going to be people that weren't born in those times for it to be nostalgic enough. You know, there's a lot of like sort of, I see a lot of kids, or well, I say a lot of young people today that are like, this makes me nostalgic for a time that I never knew, sort of thing. Like, I imagine this has got a bit of that in it. For those people that watch it, they're like, no, I wasn't around then, so I don't know what this is, but I like it. It's good. Yeah,
because no one talks about it yet as well, because it's still too fresh.
Exactly, yeah. But you know, later this year, it'll be all the, you know, or whenever it comes out, the sequel.
Well, that's the thing. Do you reckon it'll still be? like have that naughties feeling.
Maybe they'll try and pump it full of that stuff. If Will Gandhi
Do you
come
think they'll
back,
just
that's the question
update it?
as well.
Sorry, what was that?
I said, will Gandhi come back as well?
Yeah, that is a big question. I imagine no.
Yeah. That seems like the safe bet at this point.
Yeah.
Although, maybe India's calmed down. Like maybe there was, a lot that's happened in India since, like, they went against it and then they all started watching Clone High as a result, and then they were like, this is actually pretty decent. And then there was like a big, like, Gandhi's rocking, and then people started dressing as like Clone High Gandhi, and then now they're all aboard. I mean, I don't know because I haven't been keeping up with like the Clone High fandom in India, so
I can't say whether that's true or false. But if I was a betting man, false.
That's probably a safe bet.
But it's worth keeping in mind. You know?
Things can happen over 20 years. A lot of things can happen. We can come back around.
Yeah, I mean, it will be interesting to see whether he's in it. I don't think he will be.
Mm-hmm.
I think now more than ever, they're a bit more wary of those kind of things as well.
Yeah.
Like that was, I guess, like sort of like they say, we made this for an American audience, and they basically said we made it for an American audience, and we didn't think about anyone else.
Yeah.
Like it didn't even come to mind that they might offend someone. Whereas now you'd be so much like people are generally more aware.
Mm.
So who knows?
And people have louder voices now as well. So
they'll probably just replace him, have someone else in it,
and
then offend someone else maybe.
Yeah. That's generally how it goes, I think.
So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, cool to see it come back. It will be interesting to see what it's like on its return as well. Okay, well, with all that said, shall we go over to our ratings and reviews?
Yes.
Hi, nice to meet you. So we're just here today about your new pitch.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for having me, man. I've got a new idea for you. It's what you remember Clone High, right?
Remember it. I loved it.
Oh, that's great. This is a great start.
Absolutely
Clone High.
Loved it.
And here's what I'm thinking is we've got Clone High. We got the kids in college, and they're all clones, but it's serial killers.
Okay, and so by serial killers you mean, because they're at college, they're always eating cereal. So we're gonna call them serial killers, but that's the extent of it, right?
No, they're gonna be they're clones of famous killers of the past who've killed multiple people. The most infamous, baddest killers of all time. And they're the kids. They're the role models of the show.
Okay, and this is what this. So it's kind of like not really in the same wheelhouse as Clone High. More of the idea, but it's a thriller, an adult audience. We're talking what, R-rated?
No, this is for kids. This is we're gonna put this out. This is for the kids networks. We want the kids to see who who were the big stars back in the day, and I mean who's bigger than Son of Sam or who's bigger than Bundy.
I mean. Yeah, but I mean, we can't really just show serial killers to kids.
I mean, these were the guys. They were huge all over back in the day. I mean, we're gonna have the guys from all over time. So we're gonna go back. We get the Ripper in. I mean, who's bigger than the Ripper? The whole of London loved the Ripper. He was all over the papers, man. You couldn't walk down the street without thinking, I wonder where the Ripper is. Is he around? Because he was that big.
Yeah. I mean, he was like the first known serial killer. It's just, I don't think that's something we want to put out there for the kids. I just don't think that it's not really something you got to think about it like this. You're putting something out there for kids to watch, and they're like sponges. They take it all in.
Yeah.
And they need something. It's almost like whatever you make is a role model.
Yeah, exactly. So we think, I mean, the idea is today, in the modern era, people are so lame, they're so boring, they're so lame, everything's too, sensitive or whatever. But who are the coolest guys from back in the day? And I mean, these guys were the top notch. I mean, think of Charles Manson. I mean, that guy was a rock star. He literally played music all the time. He was a rocker, man. Everyone wanted to be around Charlie. So we're trying to make it cool. Is that not what you want? You want people to be cool?
I don't think cool is the right word. I don't think he was cool. I think he was manipulative. He was horrible. I mean, he was scary. People, know that now. That we don't want him in a kids show.
I mean, this is a common misconception about Charlie, man. Charlie was a cool guy. I mean, he played music all the time. We had a community around him. They were, all the kids loved Charlie. He was a nice guy. I think he just kind of got a bad rap, and this is kind of something we want to, go into on the show a little bit. Just show like the cool side of Charlie.
At this point, I have to ask, have you ever killed anyone?
I mean, define killed.
I mean, it's pretty straightforward. This is a strange pitch. I gotta say, I've never had a pitch like this.
Well, maybe you've not been, you've not had something cool enough. Because this is real cool, man. This is the new age.
I gotta say, I think it's a terrible idea.
Well, sleep well in your bed tonight.
What? Okay, so here at Toon Jam, we have a 3-point rating system that goes as follows. Thumbs up, nostalgic vibes you didn't even know existed.
Cool.
Thumbs down, serial killers. Just want to clarify that is a bad thing.
Yeah.
We here at Toon Jam think that is a bad thing.
Not good.
You should too. And shaky middle. The idea that it might be a good thing that's just still thumbs down. So basically, just to clarify, serial killers are bad, and thumbs up. This is a separate thumbs up, good, thumbs down, bad. Shaky middle is in the middle. Mm. Oh, that's really taken over a space that I didn't want it to. Sorry about that. Okay, so Clone High, the normal version.
Yeah. Normal.
Episode 1. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's definitely something really fun to revisit now. Not that I visited it the first time round, but the era.
The
era through watching it, which is really cool. We have watched a few things like this where you just have you get through the intro and suddenly you're already transported back to 20 years ago. Which is going to be interesting to see what they do when they sort of reignite it. But the music was cool, very fitting. The character designs and the look of it was very cool. It made me laugh throughout. It was funny. Lots of different little gags, sort of different levels of stuff. I guess we're kind of used to it now because we've been privileged to see much of the Phil Lord Christmas stuff. In different mediums, but it did make me chuckle, and I think as far as we've watched a few college type things, but this was different enough. It's got a different edge to it. You've got all the silly historical characters and the weird college forms and all the variation that takes, and that alone allows for just a few giggles on its own. So with all the other stuff in it, it was just thoroughly enjoyable. It didn't feel long. It felt like a fun plod through the naughties. So for me, it's definitely a thumbs up. Nothing bad to say about it, really.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I agree with what you're saying. It's very funny. It does make you laugh throughout, and it's the first episode, which for a lot of these, I don't know how it was made, but a lot of them, the first episode is a pilot. It can be, a bad representation of what is there.
Yeah.
And it was hard because, going in, all you see is it's a cancelled show. I didn't really know much about it, so I didn't know who it was made by or anything like that. I just knew it was one of the underrated, which have been pretty hit and miss. But yeah, this was funny. It looked cool. It had that nice, Cartoon Network feel that we're so used to. The music, the soundtrack was really fitting, and I think was really what gave you that nostalgic vibe more than anything. I think that worked really well, and it's almost sad, to be honest, because it feels like the end of what MTV was.
Yeah.
So for those that were a fan of that, this is sort of a final cry, a final echo of MTV, which is a shame. But it's cool that it's coming back as well. It has a definite originality in the idea. Is great, and what's good is it is another college thing, but the whole idea that it's also a parody of the many college things makes it way more acceptable. So every time they do something you've seen before, you're laughing because it's something they're making fun of. So yeah, great idea, great gags, great show. Thumbs up. 2 thumbs up. We're on a roll, baby.
Oh yeah.
2 weeks in a row, 2 thumbs up. So how will it go next week? We will find out then. But thank you for joining us this week. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, feel free to rate and review us on whatever you are listening to us on. It really, really helps us out. So it takes 2 seconds. You can also get in touch with us with your own opinions. Maybe you didn't like it. Maybe you just want to say, you know what? I love it as well. Well, you can do that on the 3... I kind of want to get away from serial killers. So I'm trying to think of something else bad, but, the 3 new versions of MTV of the internet, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Toon Jam Pod. And you can also check out our old episodes over on YouTube. We have everything on there from episode 1 to episode whatever the latest one on there is. They're all on there.
That's very true.
Head over there. You can catch up on any old episodes. And we also have a Patreon with bonus episodes. So that's patreon.com/ToonJamPod. However, all that's left to say is thank you. We'll see you again next week. You stay jammy.
Hey everyone, thank you for listening. If you want to help the show keep going, you can be extra jammy by heading over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/ToonJamPod. Here you can get a shout out on the show or unlock bonus episodes. Ratings and reviews anywhere you listen to the podcast also really help us out. So thank you and stay jammy.